Welcome to another episode of my patio project. So we're nearing the end of the project. In this episode, I am installing the polymeric, I keep on mispronouncing that, polymeric sand. So what this sand does is it fills in the cracks. You sweep it on. The brand I'm using is Polysweep. It's probably the best kind to get. But what you do is you dump the bag out and you sweep it in the cracks. Once you're done sweeping it in the cracks, then you sweep off the leftovers. And you can use a leaf blower on low setting to clean up the dust. But before you do that, you can also run a plate compactor over the whole thing, which is what I do. So I should have probably read the instructions on the bag, but I had watched a couple YouTube videos and I thought I knew what I was doing. So here I'm just dumping out a bag at a time and sweeping it around and making my way around the patio, filling in all the cracks. The step that I should have paid attention to on the bag is it said do not sweep over long distances because the polymers may separate from the sand and then it won't bond. I think I lucked out and at the end it did make a pretty good bond, but I should have paid attention to how far I was sweeping this polymeric sand so that that separation didn't occur. Because at one point I did take the sand quite a distance. So I'm just sweeping, working it into the cracks. When I get to the edge, I have that plastic, I guess it's kind of like a retaining edge that you drive stakes in to hold everything in place. But when I get to the edge, I try to fill in the little gaps there as well with the polymeric sand, hoping that that'll help keep everything in place. Once everything's done, once the whole patio is done, and next summer actually I'm going to bring in dirt and bring the grass level up to the same grade as the patio, or at least above the black edge, so it looks a little nicer. So I'll bring in some probably a 50-50 dirt and sand mixture to do some lawn leveling and then do some overseeding. And I'll probably do that at the same time that I'm installing the putting green. So this process is pretty easy, but it does take a while. I did it on a very windy day, which you probably shouldn't do for the same reason that you shouldn't sweep it for long distances. Simply because if you see all that dust blowing, that's a lot of the polymers that are blowing away. So it will affect the bond once you add water. But again, there's enough in there that it seems to at this point have done the trick, and I have a very solid patio after the fact. So I'm almost at the end of the main patio. There is some more that wraps around the side. That man that's climbing up onto the roof, he's helping to install the solar panels. So that's why there's ladders on the patio. We have a couple of projects going on at the same time. Getting solar installed, but also trying to finish this patio project before the weather turns too cold. Since we're in northern Illinois, summer doesn't last long enough and winter lasts way too long. So there's not a lot going on right now, but I needed to go rent the plate compactor. So that's why there's some dead air here, and you just see the solar panel guys working. Okay, so once I finish sweeping, I think I've actually gotten the plate compactor, or no, maybe I have to run to the store to get it. Actually, I'm putting in the polymeric sand on the side. So this side was a little tricky because it's more at an angle. It has more of a slope. So I was concerned more with being able to lock this in place without the blocks separating. Time will tell if this will hold up. And it'll be important next summer, to really backfill this and make sure that there's enough dirt and soil that'll hold the pavers in place. But this polymeric sand should do a lot of the work. It should bond and make sure everything's tight. Okay, here's the plate compactor. And it has a pad on the bottom. So when you rent it, you have to rent the plate compactor, but then you also have to pay extra to rent the pad. And the pad's not cheap. I guess they don't last very long. So you run that over and it really shakes the sand down into the cracks, so then you have to get more sand and do more sweeping. It doesn't take as long the second time through because you already have a lot of sand in the cracks. So you just want to make sure that they're filled up to as close to the top as you can get them. And once they're filled up, you sweep the extra off of the surface and go back with a leaf blower, kind of like on idle speed, to blow off any of the extra. You want to make sure you're not blowing the sand out of the cracks, just off of the surface of the pavers. So I run over everything with the plate compactor again. And you can go back over again with the sand and really top it off. I didn't. So I did the 2 applications and ran the compactor twice. So at this point, we're almost done. We just need to use the leaf blower to blow everything off and then wet it down. And they recommend wetting it down a couple times. You want to use kind of like a fine mist when you wet it down, so you're not washing out any of the sand from the cracks, because that would kind of defeat the purpose. I do have one small puddle on the patio, which is kind of annoying, that I may fix at a later date. But right now it does drain, it just drains a little bit slowly, so there's a puddle there for a little bit. If you like this video and want to see more of my projects and follow along with what I'm working on, like and subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so you can stay up to date with pet projects. Thank you for watching.